The clock out loud.
I crashed my motorbike. I think it was the summer. I think you whispered, when you gonna wake up, when you gonna wake up.
Welcome back to another edition of The Clock Out Loud. I'm Maker Ben DeZoglio. And I'm Maker Sean Michael Dunphy. And here's what's happening in your world. This past week in the Hub, senior Brittany Smith, along with Residential Life, brought an Enough is Enough campaign to PSU. The goal of the week-long campaign was to stand up against societal violence in the United States. The group tabled in the Hub all week long, handing out pins, magnets, and t-shirts. It brought many events, including an open mic to Prospect Hall on Friday, April 8th.
It seems as though you're sporting one of the pins right now, Sean.
I sure am, Ben.
In other news, on April 5th, 2011, New Hampshire Public Television brought to Plymouth State University an independent lens, hour-long sneak peek of the documentary Pushing the Elephant. The movie explored the Civil War and current instability of the Democratic Republic of Congo through the lens of the widowed mother, Rose Mapendo. Mapendo and 9 of her children were victims of the injustice caused by the civil wars, as they suffered in a concentration camp following the murder of Mapendo's husband, during which time Mapendo's daughter, Amy, was raped and forced to bear the child of one of her captors. The documentary focuses around the themes regarding gender roles, peace and resolution, and living through forgiveness. Dr. Christian Evanson and PSU student body president Brian Funk hosted the film and led a group discussion following the documentary, which further explored the themes in the documentary and offered channels for students to help the conflict in the DRC.
It seems like it was an overall very informative event for PSU students, and it was great to get the sneak peek on the documentary before it's aired.
Sure was, Sean. PSU professor Dr. David Haight recently published yet another proof which seeks to solve another millennium problem. His solution for the Riemann hypothesis centers around the idea of prime numbers and how they are the indivisible atoms of the mathematical world.
This would be a resolution of not a mathematical problem, but a resolution of my own identity. So in a sense, when you prove one of these problems, you're proving yourself.
Dr. David Haight has passed the first 2 requirements of the $1 million problems, and if the mathematical community accepts his proof, he will be awarded the $1 million award.
That sure would bring a positive spotlight onto PSU faculty, Ben.
It sure would, Sean.
In other news, on Wednesday, March 30th, the President's Commission on the Status of Women granted the Powerful Outstanding Women's Advocate Award, POWA, to Amber Lee Barbagallo for significantly contributing to the advancement of women's issues during her time as a student at Plymouth State University. The POWA Award is a prestigious honor given to a student who has brought women's issues to public attention, demonstrated genuine concern for the overall advancement of women, worked collaboratively with various campus and community constituencies, and dedicated to improving or elevating the status of women through continuous involvement in and advocacy of women's issues.
It truly is an astonishing award for Amber Lee.
It really is, Ben. It's quite prestigious.
There is currently a reconsideration in the budget cuts going on that could cut Pell Grants $12 million in New Hampshire and therefore impact 21,000 students in the state. Student activist group Students for Sanity have already tried to bring awareness about this matter to PSU students. The group will be going to Concord Friday, April 15, 2011 to rally against the budget cut. Staff reporter Megan Manson sat down with Plymouth State University's Director of Financial Aid, June Schlebug, and VP of Student Affairs, Rick Barth, to find out what PSU is planning to do to counter these cuts, provided they go through.
I don't think any personnel will be cut. I think what would happen is looking at program services and so forth, and how can we be more effective in how we're using our personnel resources. Right now there's a group of faculty and staff that are looking at this. President's Cabinet is looking at it. The University System of New Hampshire Board of Trustees is looking at proposals. So everyone is looking at how can we do this with the priorities being individuals not losing their job, and with the priorities being trying to protect students as far as their aid and trying to minimize any impact on tuition.
So when students have questions, we want them to call so that we have an opportunity to explain what we know up to where where these resources are going to come from, and we're giving our best guess based on what we know at this point in time. So we're doing the best we can to make sure parents are aware. And in all cases, we also identify options for families should the resources not be available. So we're trying to communicate as much as possible, and we welcome conversations.
The exact budget will be made available to the university in late June, and Schlabug and Barth both encourage students and parents to contact financial aid with any questions or uncertainties regarding this matter.
It sure would be a devastating thing to see cuts in Pell Grants for PSU students, Ben.
It sure would be, Sean, but it's great to see that PSU is already preparing for the possible cuts.
In other news, this past weekend, Friday, April 1st, and Saturday, April 2nd, Plymouth State University's Silver Center for the Arts brought the theater to life with a piece of opera by Plymouth State University's Opera Scene Study class, which presented opera saints, sinners, and sirens. The show was an overall success and ran very smoothly. Music director Dan Perkins accompanied the singers on piano throughout the performance, which concluded with Act 2 of Johann Strauss II's Die Fledermaus.
You yourself attended the opera, didn't you, Sean?
I did, Ben. It was quite amazing to see the students' ability to be able to perform the opera.
And now the weather with Steve.
Hello again, everybody. I'm your weatherman, Steve Lanciani, and this is your forecast, Plymouth. So, hey, it's that time of year. Tis the season. We're going to be warming up, like I said last time. I'm looking very festive today. Got my flower happening because pretty soon we're going to see these guys popping up outside. So, looking to Friday, we're looking at brilliant sunshine. We're going to have highs right around 53 degrees. Winds are going to be from the northwest, becoming southerly throughout the day, around 5 to 10 miles per hour. We're going to get some nice warm advection coming in, bringing in some of that warm air from down south. Moving right into Saturday, we're going to start out sunny with those clear skies like we saw on Friday, but throughout the day it's going to become a little bit cloudy. But we are going to see warmer temperatures, right around the mid-50s, I'd say right at 55. The winds are going to be south again, so we're going to still get that warm air coming up. And winds are going to be 10 miles an hour, and we might see a shower or two overnight, but I think it's going to be relatively dry, at least on Saturday. Sunday, those cloudy skies are going to stick around, but they're actually going to help to hold in some of that warm air like we see. So we're going to see temperatures warming up to around 60. So hey, maybe get outside. We might see a shower, but if it's warm, then, rain's not that bad. So southwest winds are going to be kicking around 10 miles per hour, but still getting that warm flow coming in. And folks, looking towards next week, early next week, it's starting to look really, really nice. Especially getting in towards late April, we're going to get those warm temperatures coming in. Could see temps pushing 70 if we get the right conditions coming in towards Wednesday, toward midweek next week. But a little too far off to make a guess right now. So, but hey, I'd say, get out, start enjoying that weather, and hopefully we'll stay dry. So thanks again, and we'll see you next week. And back to you, Ben and Sean.
Thanks for that, Steve. And now we'd like to shed some light on two students who this week went out of their way to raise awareness for a great cause. On Tuesday, April 5th, 2011, Plymouth State University students Morgan Riley and Jay Hunter took part in Tom's One Day Without Shoes to raise awareness and action through curiosity. The barefooted individuals trekked through the 40-degree weather bravely to raise awareness about those that go every day without shoes. Riley and Hunter got some positive reaction from their peers, who, once they found out about the reason they were going barefoot, wanted to partake in the activity themselves next year. Both Riley and Hunter plan on participating in April 5th, 2012, but both are hoping for slightly warmer weather.
It sure shows dedication, Sean, to not wear shoes on such a cold and rainy day.
Most definitely, Ben.
And now sports. Plymouth State women's lacrosse team went 1-1 in last week's games, as they lost to Springfield 15-9 last Thursday, but came back to beat Rhode Island College 13-5 on Saturday. After last week's split, Plymouth State is 3-2 overall, but the win over Rick brought the Panthers' record to 1-0 in conference play. When asked how she felt about the game, head coach Christian Blanchette said, "It felt great. It was a big confidence booster with our first conference win."
Well, that concludes our broadcast here tonight. I want to remind you to stop by the clock office at any point this week to pick up your copy of the clock, which will have more about any of the stories we've reported on here tonight. On behalf of everybody here at the clock, I'm Sean Michael Dunphy,
And I'm Ben DeZoglio.
and we want to remind you
There will be another night. Good night, everybody.